Today on the WEInvested podcast, we have TJ Walker, and he is a Rocky Mount Councilman of Ward 4, and he is also the founder of We Fit Incorporated, a nonprofit foundation. TJ, how you doing today?
I'm doing good, man. How about you?
I'm doing pretty good, man. I appreciate you for joining me, man. I know you're a very, very busy man. But before we get started, can you let the people know where they can find you on social media?
Definitely, man. Facebook, TJ Walker, or TJ Walker, I think City Councilman, Ward 4 City Councilman in Rocky Mount, North Carolina, I believe TJ Walker, Rocky Mount Councilman of Ward 4. It's two Facebook pages, and also We Fit Inc., which is another Facebook page for the nonprofit. IG is TJ Walker Music or We Fit Inc. On IG, and I'm on Twitter, but I don't really use it like that, man. So really more so IG and Facebook. That's kind of the two social media tools I use.
For sure, bro. So let's just jump right into it, man. And I want to start from the beginning because this is I usually just interview entrepreneurs, man, but this is my first time interviewing an entrepreneur as well as a political figure. So I want to start from the beginning. So where did you grow up?
I grew up in Rocky Mount, North Carolina, man, Sycamore Street, but I spent most of my time with my grandparents in Pine Tops, and back and forth from Pine Tops to Rocky Mount because my mom worked in Pine Tops as a teacher, so it was easier for her and it worked better to just have, we could stay in my grandma's house, my sister and I, 14 months apart. We could stay at my grandma's house and she'd either pick us up after work or we stay down there a couple of days or may stay down there a week, then come home on the weekends. But yeah, I grew up there, man, playing sports, baseball, basketball, football, and just in Rocky Mount, man. We finally moved from Sycamore to Bond Farm, which is by Northern Nash, during the flood in '99. That's how I remember the flood so easily, Hurricane Floyd, because I remember that's the year we moved. And I grew up in a two-parent home, great stability, great support, very supportive family, not just immediate, but my extended family, very supportive. And, we didn't have everything, but we didn't necessarily, want for anything either. We had all of our basic necessities. We didn't have to worry about lights being off or food on the table. So that wasn't, that's not a part of my story. It wasn't my struggle. So growing up, it's pretty cool, man. We didn't, we weren't spoiled, but we were definitely blessed.
For sure, bro, for sure. And so how did you kind of get your start in politics, or what sparked that interest in basically serving your community and getting involved in local government?
Man, I grew up around it. So both of my granddads um, were politicians. My mom's dad, he was on the school board for 30 plus years. My dad's dad, um, he's a local pioneer, man, local legend here in Rocky Mount and in Eastern North Carolina in general. He was a first African American county commissioner in Edgecombe County, and he's in his 51st year of pastoring right now. So they just, watching them, man, just help people, being plugged in the community, trying to help people and be a voice for people that felt like they were voiceless. So watching them kind of it was almost like it was in the DNA because that was my environment. I was surrounded by the black men that I saw every day. That's what they did. So, being exposed to that is kind of what compelled me and pushed me to feel like, listen, this is a part of me. It's an extension of me. If I don't know anything else, I know helping people. So I actually the political world as far as council, I never saw that. People ask you about a 5-year plan, like politics wasn't even in my 5-year plan. So the whole council idea, man, it just happened with going off to college and coming back, learning in college and watching the city you grow up in, seeing how it's changing, but also seeing how there are areas that's not changing that need to change, and figuring out what position that you need to be in, who are the players that can make those changes. And so it's one thing to be a voice, but it's another to be at the table to make the decisions. So I wanted to be both. I want to have my foot in the streets in the neighborhood, but I also want to have my foot at the table so that I'm not only advocating for the people, but I'm also being able to advocate for what they want and also make the change for what they want, or at least be a part of making the change for what it is that I'm hearing. So that's really, man, that's really kind of what pushed me to. I had a professor at North Carolina Central that told me two ways. He said, if you want to make changes in your hometown, he said, get you a nonprofit and get into local government. So I did both of those things, man. Watched and waited for the opportunity, and thanks be to God, man. I'm here today, blessed, bro.
For sure, for sure. That's a very, very dope story, man. So, for you personally, which one came first, getting into local government or getting your nonprofit started?
It was the nonprofit. Yeah, the nonprofit. It was formed in 2014. It was my junior year of college, and I started it there. But it wasn't until the last 2 years that I got my 501c3. So we're totally tax exempt now, and it just opens up your as a nonprofit, man. Really, it makes you more of a business that way. When you're tax exempt, you're able to leverage more dollars. You're able to be more attractive to donors, sponsors, and it just legitimizes what people call the non or the not-for-profit business. And it's not technically not for profit, but it is a business. And you have to set it up like a business or it'll fail. So that was the first thing I got off the ground, and then politics followed last year. So I ran last year, and no, the year before COVID, um, 2019, and coming in my second year now. It's a 4-year term, so I got 4 years in this term. Then I'll be looking to run again, Lord's willing, if that's the plan.
For sure, man, for sure. And so I wanted to kind of talk more about that process of becoming a city councilman. Like, how was that process for you?
Man, it was tough. I remember telling my granddad, my dad's dad, he was the first person I told. After my wife, I let her know what I wanted to do, and I talked to my granddad because in the city, it's out of respect. It's good to go through the pioneers, to go through some of the bridge builders. And so I sat down with him, told him what I wanted to do, and he just totally he rejected it. He was like, "Nah, you don't need to do that." So when he told me no, that I didn't need to do it, I knew then that it was time to do it. So I went ahead, man, and I talked to some more of the elders in the community, that are stakeholders. Went and met with them, let them know, hey, this is what I'm going to do. Um, because the individual that was the current council person, she decided she wasn't going to run, but she waited until, well, for one, she refused to answer my phone calls until the day before filing. I called her probably a month straight, man, trying to figure out, hey, are you going to run? You're going to run? 'Cause I need to make sure you're thinking about running. So she never answered. I left her voicemails, and then called me the day before filing and said, hey, I was just calling you, letting you know I'm not running. I'm like, yeah, I respect the call back, but I've already made up my mind. I'm actually going to be filing tomorrow. I am running. So she had another individual that she was grooming to run, and that's just politics, man. It gets dirty, but I went and filed, and once I filed, man, because I waited the day of filing, I had to start campaigning right then, and it only gave me a short block of time to hit over, man, probably, man, there's no telling how many people probably knocking doors, but to cover this wide span of constituents in a short window. But it was what it was, man. I pledged the greatest fraternity known to mankind, Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated. I grew up here in Rocky Mount, so that just sets you up to understand perseverance. And that's all the campaign was perseverance. It was hard. I didn't have a team. Most people, they have a team, campaign team. I didn't have a campaign manager. It was just me, my family, and I had a few volunteers every now and then, people that would help when they could. But and I got out on my bike and walked and knocked doors. I went door to door, man. My granddad, he helped me out a lot financially to be able to get me a campaign headquarters right in the middle of the ward. So it was really, man, I'm still campaigning right now, man. Just that campaign is simply just being amongst the people.
For sure, bro, for sure. And so, how did you pick like what ward you wanted to run for? Is that like something? How did that decision like come about?
So my granddad, the church he pastors at, church he's been pastoring for 50 years, church I'm familiar with, it's in the heart of the ward, largest church in the ward. It was once the largest African American church in the city, but now, as time progressed, you got some larger churches here, and I'm excited about that. But it's a church that was still in the heart of not only the ward, but in the heart of a community. And we, as a family, we've already been doing work in the area, so it was the perfect ward, for me to step into and say, listen, the work that my family's already been doing, I want to continue that legacy and stand on the shoulders that and the foundation my family's already built in this ward. I already have a trust of the people in the community. They know how we get down. They know how we take care of people, how we look at the people. Nobody's perfect, but they know as far as taking care of having people's best interest. My granddad kind of stamped that for our name. So just standing on that name, being able to have that legacy to stand on helped me out a lot. Now I just knew this was the place to be. I was able to find a house in the ward and like a phone call. It was just a call like, hey, I need to move. I got to be in the ward so I can run. Made a call, and it was a blessing, man. It was a blessing.
For sure, for sure. And so, how did it feel? You know what I'm saying? Once you found out you were elected, and what emotions were you feeling at that moment?
Man, I went off, man. I remember being at the campaign headquarters. You don't have a TV, so you gotta watch it by your phone. So I just remember kept refreshing, and trying to get the results to come in. And you could watch the results as they were going. So it's like, you could see it up, up, up. And I remember seeing early voting count came in. Early voting, I think I won by like 100 votes. And it was people in the campaign headquarters, man. I mean, like people that I hadn't seen the whole journey. It's people that I know didn't support me. People was just, but they were at the campaign headquarters, trying to see what was going on. My opponent, man, her team, they threw so much dirt on me and at least tried to just talk bad about me. And the sad part was it was another black female, um, African American female, and the way they treated me, I'm just like, man, it's just I'm thinking about everything that I had to go through while I was waiting for the results, watching my phone. All these people are standing around watching me. We got food, people eating. They having a good time, and I'm just just thinking about the whole process. I'm thinking about the whole journey. And once the results came in, man, I just lost it. I blanked. I just started like I lost myself, man. I just started thinking about everything and everybody that told me I would lose, and how people was laughing at my campaign style, telling me my flyers looked like uh, basketball promotion flyers, and just clowning me. I thought about all of that, man. I thought about everything that people were saying, stuff they didn't think I knew, the subliminals, the shots, and everything. I thought about all that, man. I just lost it. I snapped, and I just, I thank God. Then after that, man, I just went off. I blanked. Yeah, I blanked. I
Nah, man,
blanked.
that's definitely a big moment, man. You definitely deserve a blank, man, for real. After what it sounded like you went through to get to where you are. But you know, so doing my research, it has your primary goal listed as to bridge generational and racial divide gaps through equity and social justice in local government. So, what does that mean to you?
Man, being able to, it's a huge gap. So it's a huge gap in generations, a huge gap in races, and even within our own race, it's a huge gap. So trying primarily to get the younger generation and the older generation to stop, because during the campaign, I saw the worst of it, man. Like the older generation just, you know, for some reason, man, they couldn't find it in their hearts to help me, but they rather bash me. So seeing that perspective of how the older generation thought about me being the younger generation and the rest of the younger generation, I'm like, man, that's not the way it's supposed to be. And then we're quick to blame another race, for our oppression. I'm like, look how we treat ourselves. So I really want to focus on bridging that generational gap, man, bringing both generations to the table together, having conversation, um, having time to really. I feel like we don't fellowship enough to understand each other. We just quick to judge based off what we don't understand, rather than taking time to really fellowship, getting to know somebody. And that's not just with us as a people, but that's across racial barriers. We rather just say we don't understand it, we don't know anything about it, we're ignorant to it, and we're just, pass the judgment towards it without even trying to get to know. So man, I like taking time, sitting down with people, understanding, it's even if you're racist or even if you're not of my generation, or if you're not my color, or if you don't, I still want to find a way to try to understand why you think the way you do. Psychology was my undergrad major. So as in that major, it was just huge to try to figure out why people think the way they do and why they act the way they do. So
For sure, man. And that was one of the questions that I had down to ask you too, man. How do you think that, you know, your education and your educational background um benefits you to help serve your community and the people better?
it helped, man. The fact that I went to a HBCU, I not only was a psych major, but in psychology, they teach you African American psychology. So you get to learn your people. You get to learn the psychology of the Black American. You get to learn, and that's huge, man. We think we know so much about us because it's our culture, and it's a lot of things that we overlook and a lot of things we don't. So taking time to really understand why we might do some of the things we do and why we may act the way we do. That helps you get to the root of really addressing the real need. A lot of people try to address the need and don't even know the root. And that's not gonna fix anything.
For sure, bro, for sure. And so when I was you know what I'm saying, kind of doing my homework on you and checking out different pages and different websites, I saw that you were, I guess we can call it this, it was a public safety initiative where you were with the fire station 2 in Rocky Mount, walking through your ward and checking smoke detectors and kind of being involved with the people right there with them. So what did that mean to you? Like, what was the significance of making sure that you were able to walk through and personally check on some of these, some of the residents within your ward?
Man, making sure people are safe. Um, and not only that, but people seeing you, and it's not time to be elected. People seeing you, and it's just a normal day, a regular day. Like that was a Saturday morning, and people knowing that you care about their safety and that you care about them. That was the biggest thing to me. But on the flip side, also being there with the people that basically work for the council, the fire department. They're employed through the city. So letting them know that, hey, I got your back as well. I'm here for the people. I'm here for you as an employee. I'm here for my people as a constituent and as their councilman. So really just showing people, man, that you care for them, care about them, and you value their work and you value their thoughts and their voice, and you just value them as a collective body.
For sure, for sure. That's dope. That's dope. So, you know, another post that kind of stood out to me, it looked like you shared it, but you were talking about you know, developments coming to Rocky Mount. So is there anything that you can talk a little bit more about, kind of elaborate on the developments that are coming to Rocky Mount?
Yeah, it's a lot coming, man. We've got a huge tire company that's coming from China. They've already broke ground. We're developing our downtown currently. So one of the most historic downtowns is going under redevelopment stages. That's going to be a huge project. It's actually grabbing statewide attention and national attention now, just because of how we're doing it and how we've been able to capture and cultivate not only developing the downtown, but also making sure that we have minority participation and ownership in downtown. Not many downtowns, very few in America have that, you know. So looking at some Black Wall Street, when we talk about Black Wall Street in Tulsa and Black Wall Street that was in Durham, North Carolina, you know, we're able to create that environment and culture in Rocky Mount because we have a 67% African American population. So we have the people here. That's one of the greatest developments that we have here. We've got a $50 million event center that's here. So that's a huge investment that was made. And we're just developing around it. We have an affordable housing bond that we're approaching. We're going to be looking at going to the state, trying to figure out how we implement this affordable housing bond so that we can create affordable housing and housing incentives and initiatives for developers and for constituents. So it's a ton of development, man. There's a development project that I'm working on with people within my ward of a community development resource center so that we can stop trying to band-aid our community, but really give them access to true tools that are solution-based that can really help change their lives and sustain themselves and the community rather than just continue to band-aid the community.
For sure. And that's dope, man. And just seeing that change coming to Rocky Mount is crazy. It's crazy, like with all the eyes on it and all the attention it's getting, it's like you can really feel that energy. You can really feel the energy coming to Rocky Mount. But just to kind of switch gears a little bit, I wanted to dive deeper into your nonprofit, We Fit. Before we started recording, you know, I think you told me what it stood for, the acronym for it, and I thought it was deep. And I just kind of want to hit on that a little bit more. So would you mind explaining, um, you know, the idea behind We Fit Incorporated?
Yeah, man, We Fit Incorporated working to expose future intrinsic thinkers. My boy Act, he came up with that when we were undergrad, that acronym for the nonprofit. But the gist of what we do is focus on African American youth development. Primarily now, we've kind of shaped it to where we have gotten a little more detailed, where we focus primarily on African American male development, beginning at age 8. So exposure is our template, man. If we had to say, you know, what do you focus your program around? It's exposure. Everything we do, we want to expose kids to something that they may not be exposed to within their environment. So therefore, their minds can be broadened. Their perspectives can be shaped a little differently because they've been exposed to things that they normally wouldn't be exposed to in the community. And many times we don't have to go out of the city to do it. It's a lot of things in the city that inner city kids aren't exposed to just because they rarely come out of the neighborhood. You know everything around you in your neighborhood, but just experiencing different things in the city that you may not experience. Something as simple as coming to City Hall, coming to a council meeting. You know, it's simple to some, but that's huge. That's a game changer. I had a friend just yesterday. He took a young kid to a council meeting, and it's his first time going. And he was like, "Man, I want to speak at the next council meeting." You know, something that what we think is small exposure, man. That's what really changes mindsets. But that's the nonprofit. And everything I've got, man, is I use we, the first two letters we, to kind of as an umbrella, and we fit. I've got We Rent Rentals, which is a rental car business. Um, of course, We Fit Basketball. That's a sports training development. So everything is under that umbrella. But the original name of We Fit came from the Hamitic hypothesis, where in the Bible it talks about the Hamites and how they were people that were told they didn't fit into a certain area, basically. And so the whole We Fit concept is to be able to share with kids that, hey, listen, this may be a world that tells you you don't fit here, you don't fit in America, and you don't fit. We may hear that constantly and we may see it constantly, but we want to show you that, yeah, you do. Not only do you fit here, but you can sustain yourselves here and your family. And there's a way to do it. So that's really where the whole concept derived from.
Man, that's amazing, brother. That's amazing. And so I heard you mention, you have We Fit, We Rent. You say you have a rental car business as well. So, what's the importance of having, multiple streams of income to you?
Very important. So I'm married with three kids. So I'm just like, man, listen, I need, I've got to be able to provide not only now, and but I need to be able to provide for their future, not just my future, but for their future and the family's future, in order to have things for them to build on, so they don't have to try and go through, so they don't have to go through things that I had to go through, and understanding legacy. Like there's so much legacy built in my family, but I don't think they understood the importance of a financial legacy. You know? So got a great name, but when we talk about financial legacy and plans and succession plans and how to effectively pull it off, that's very important, man. That's a huge gap in America, especially for blacks. So I wanted to make sure that, listen, if even if my granddad, if he doesn't leave me anything, I want to make sure that I'm able to leave my kids, what I needed, being at this stage now. I feel like I could be a lot further, but I don't regret any of the lessons or any of the process. You know, we were taught to take the stairs, so we hear that a lot, and that process is a beautiful thing. I'm learning to just embrace that. But multiple streams, man. I don't work for anybody, so I got to be able to survive and be sustained, and also the family. So it's not just multiple streams, but it's different avenues and different pathways to have something for the kids and for my wife.
For sure, man, for sure. And so, outside of your council position, you're a community engagement coordinator, an assistant pastor, you're running multiple businesses. So, how do you, um, and you're a family man as well. So, how do you juggle all these different responsibilities and things that you have to do? Like, how do you kind of go day to day dealing with all these different things pulling you in different directions?
Man, I get pulled apart, man. I'm trying to figure it out. Trying to figure out how to do. I use my calendar to kind of do the scheduling, but it's tough, man. I'm figuring it out. Man. I'm trying to give days where I don't do anything, for myself. Just kind of take a day for me. Trying to get to a place where I take a day, just with the kids. Take a time with just the wife and the kids, and then just time with the wife. So I'm learning that, man. I'm learning it. I haven't figured it out yet, but uh, every week I learn different tactics and different tools I can use, and using my calendar on my phone and create and making a calendar. And my wife tells me all the time, being able to say no to certain things. I'm just working on that, but there's so much that has to be done. COVID kind of taught us that, really with all that we do, man, it really doesn't matter. It's everything could be wiped away from you in a split. So you got to take time to just value life too and value our being here. and the grace that God provides us to do it. So I'm still learning, still learning.
For sure, bro. And so, what would you say is the single most important reason for your success?
God, that's it. God, man, God, just having faith in God, and I know it sounds cliche, but that's it, man. God is without God, man. That's pretty much what I know.
That's a
And I
fact,
work,
man.
yeah, definitely. I work and I do my part, but God's part is the real part. That's what makes it. That's trusting in it, trusting in that plan, trusting in that plan.
That's a fact, man. That's a fact. I appreciate your time today, man. I really gained a lot from this conversation. But before we get out of here, man, at the end of every episode, we like to play a rapid fire question game. So if you're willing to play, I'll go ahead and ask you these 3 questions.
Most definitely, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So look, question number 1: where's your favorite place to travel?
Right now it might be for this age, favorite place. I'll answer that too. My favorite type of travel is a cruise, but I have to say my place might be Houston, man. Houston's for this age,
Houston. Why Houston?
man. Houston's different. Going from Rocky Mount to Houston, man. You don't just it's something all day, every day. It just doesn't stop. I'm a type that don't stop. So Houston is boom, boom, boom. It's breakfast, it's brunch, it's day party, it's nightlife, it's go to sleep, it's breakfast. It don't stop, man. I love it.
Facts, facts. So question number 2: what song explains your life the most?
Mm. Uh, God's plan.
That's a bar. All right, all right. Question number 3, last one. What's an amazing thing that you did that no one was around to see?
Oh, shoot, man. Oh, shoot. Just today, man, I talked to a homeless 18-year-old. And he's going to Job Corps Thursday. But just encourage him, man, to keep going. Yeah, man, that was just it was amazing. It was amazing just to hear his story and to let him know keep going. Keep going.
That's what's up, man. Hey, TJ Walker, thank you so much for your time, man. It's a legendary episode for sure.
And no doubt, I appreciate you for inviting me, and I thank you for your time, man. Thank you for thinking of me.
Yes, sir.